Welcome to this episode of the Million Dollar Mastermind. I'm Larry Weidel, and before we get started, if you want to know exactly how to win again and again, go to weidelonwinning.com/webinar now to watch something I've put together for you. Now let's get going into this episode of Million Dollar Mastermind. I'm with Sully Sullivan, the CEO and co-founder of BombTech Golf, and they've got over 600,000 golf clubs sold, over 15 million in sales, and they have got tremendous momentum in a huge profitable business and probably a very lean product line right now that has opportunity to expand. And so Tyler, thanks for being on and sharing today.
Glad to be here.
I want to follow up what you said when we talked earlier. It's like which I just think is incredibly insightful. This is why I like to talk to winners, because winners see things and explain things and in their own words. It's like it occurs to them and they could describe it. But you said you went where the opportunities were. Talk about that.
Yeah, I just only knew what I knew, which was not much, so I kind of saw where there's traction. And for us, it was Facebook. This is early days Facebook, before video existed, before Facebook Live, I think before even ads really started. And so I was just documenting and saw that we started to get not a lot of followers. We had like 2,000 followers, and people were really engaging. They were commenting on everything. And I remember this moment specifically because I finally had my first kid, and I made a video in the backyard while he was taking a nap. And it was like I had to run out, make it quick before he woke up. And I hit a ball into a net, and it sounds like a bomb explodes. I hit it so hard. And I go, "What does your driver sound like?" And posted it on Facebook when video first came out. And I boosted it for $300, and I got 300,000 views, 10,000 comments. And I literally went through every comment on my BlackBerry phone until my thumbs were almost bleeding, because I thought if anyone is commenting on our social media, it's worth talking back to them and having a conversation. So that's been my thesis over time when I mean opportunities. I just saw we're getting tons of engagement. It wasn't necessarily driving a ton of sales that day, but I was having real conversations at some type of scale that helped build the brand to be more tangible. And it just took a lot of effort and time, which I had back then, because what else was I going to do? I had to make it work. That made us a brand for the regular guys, and then like what I mean of, go where the opportunity is. We knew Facebook was working, so we just doubled down on that. And then I ask my customers what they want. I don't dictate. I am not the boss of them. They're the boss of me. So when our driver was our only product, I said, "Hey, if you're the CEO of BombTech, what would you like? What would you make?" And a lot of people said wedges. I said, "Okay, well let's make some wedges." So we made a wedge set, and I was like, "I have no idea how this is going to do." And when we launched them, we did $60,000 in an hour. I said, "That's pretty good. What else you guys want?" And really, that's been at the core too. Is I may not be that smart, but I do have a sense of like understanding and just willingness to listen. And I've tried to do that throughout the time, 10 years with that one brand and my other company too. Is just ask your customers what's up, what they want, and let them tell you, because they're your biggest asset. So now it's a much easier business because we've got so much product out on the golf course, so many customers that are loyal to the brand. But you would be insane to try to start a golf company because it is the most competitive market in the world. And if you didn't absolutely love it, you'd be burnt out in a week. So it's one of those things where, I kind of just was able to pivot and keep scaling, and we still do that today. And I'm very fortunate and super thankful for anyone that's ever given our products a try. I have a ton of I'm just thankful. I'm grateful.
Well, Sully, why are you sounds like you're the founder. Why are you the co-founder?
I am the founder. There
Okay.
is no co-founder, just me.
Yeah.
That's my other business, Ecom Growers. I am the co-founder.
Okay. All right. And the thing on kind of an extension of this was the day you got fired and you found out your wife was pregnant. A lot of times you're not thinking clearly.
Yes.
And I can remember when I got fired, and my wife was already like 4 months pregnant with a
Oh,
second
no.
child, 3 days before Christmas.
Oh, perfect.
And she was actually euphoric because now I could go do other things, And I swear, it's almost like she took off doing cartwheels around the neighborhood.
Wow.
And so, there's one thing about losing your job. It's another thing being freed up to, go chase the dream. But how did you know what to? It's one thing to work hard. It's another thing to work hard on things that will pay you off. And people, when you're successful, Sully, people look at you and say, you're just a genius, all these things. And what I always say too, if I was a genius, I could have sure saved myself a whole lot of 20-hour days and
Yeah.
sleepless nights. And, I wish I was a genius. That would be a real advantage, And I, I don't work long hours because I want to. It's just because I'm too dumb to figure out how to do it quicker. And so, with your 20 hours, 7 days a week, what were you doing? You got a pregnant wife. You don't have a job to go to. You don't have the resources. Like even now, you've got minimal employees, which means you're outsourcing your manufacturing and your fulfillment. So probably. So what? What did you do 20 hours a day, 7 days a week?
Hey, listen, there's a lot of information online, but there aren't a lot of people who've actually done something. In my case, I've actually built a successful business that's accrued over $5 billion in assets under management and has done well even during trying times. Now, if you want to know exactly how I've done this, go to whitelmwinning.com/webinar now. I've compressed a decade of learning into 5 short weeks just for those of you who want to give yourself an incredible advantage and are tired of waiting and watching others move up.
Yeah, I share the same lack of genius bone as well. So yeah, I was doing all the wrong stuff. So I was assembling clubs at the time myself in my basement. I had retrofitted my duplex into a club fitting studio, which was insane. Packing boxes, shipping boxes, doing the emails, taking the phone calls, making the social media posts, I did every single thing you would ever do. And the things I had to do out of necessity because I had no money, right? I couldn't afford to hire anyone. I remember, I finally hit my first $1 million in a year. And I was doing like 180K a month. And I remember, when is it? I just kept saying, when is this going to stop? When is this going to die? I had that such a strong feeling of it just ending. And then I said, okay, I got something here. I got some traction. I need to hire someone, or I'm going to die. So I ended up hiring my first employee, Chris, who's now my partner in the other company, to do email part time. He was actually one of the engineering students at UVM. And he was like, hey, if you need anything, any help with anything at all, I'd love to help. So at nights after his day at school, he would help me out with replying to emails for customer service. And I slowly, with a newborn, 20 hours a day, it was like, okay, I learned to delegate. And I learned to trust that other people could do things as good and actually better than me. And that was probably my most difficult hurdles. Because as someone that starts their own thing, there's so much ego involved in it, which I just was scared of it breaking and dying and not working and being able to pay them. But once I started, and it took me years, to really let go and find experts. And that was like the skill that I really, I learned to do each task, whether it's running ads, email, assembling a golf club, whatever it is, good enough to be dangerous so I can then hire and fire people. And that was the real moment where I was like, okay, now I know what to do and what not to do. Therefore, I can vet an expert and hire them or fire them if they suck. And that was how I was able to go from literally working 20 hours a day, making the least amount. So my hourly rate, if you broke it down, would be the lowest it's ever been, the most I work. Now I work the least I've ever worked and make the most because I've hired experts in those siloed, categories. And like, I like to have an outsourced model. Those are the most important guys, are the in-house guys.
Yeah.
And then my outsourced guys are the experts. They're my 3PL. I've got my email agency, an ad
Yeah.
guy, a CRO guy, all these different experts. But I had to find them. And that was really the second, like, how to scale up, but also stay lean. So my business model is a variable cost model where the more scale we have, like we have a good month, it's great. If we have a bad month, it's still good. And I didn't want to go down that path of having tons of overhead in case we did have a bad month. So I really believe in, I'm just going on a tangent, but overall, a lean business that kind of can run without you. And that's because of the kids and just my journey through my life.
Yeah. And, I apologize for people who've heard me tell this story, but I think I don't know if you've heard it, but Jeff Bezos, they were interviewing him on, I saw a YouTube interview, and he was talking about their days of getting started in their garage, and where he was actually wrapping the stuff to ship. He and two or three other guys,
Yep.
and he was down on the floor, the concrete floor, wrapping stuff on his knees, and he had this light bulb went on. He said, so he blurted out to the other guys. He said, "I just got a great idea." This is Jeff Bezos stuff.
Yeah.
He said, "I just got a great idea. Why don't we get some knee pads? That way it's going to be easier on our knees." And one of the other two guys said, "Hey, I've got an idea. Why don't we just buy a table?"
Wow. I get it. I get it. I can relate to that.
Yeah, we've been there, haven't we?
Absolutely. Well, I remember taking pride in how many golf clubs I could fit into my Subaru Legacy and how many trips it would take me to the post office to drop them off. And I remember I just wanted to fill the car so I couldn't fill it anymore, and then I'd have to buy a van. And then I was like, I had to use my wife's car because we got a bigger car for her for the kid, and I would fill her car, and that was, that was the tangible early days. I mean, I remember at one point I could hold 20 golf boxes at one time, and it was like I was so proud of that. And, obviously that's not my best interest to be doing it myself, but at the time it was,
Right. And I appreciate you bringing that up. It's like, what are the high priority things to focus in on? And we're going to get right to that.
If you enjoyed what you've heard and are dead serious about finding out for yourself exactly how this works in the real world, I've taken the most valuable business lessons I've learned over 40 years and put them into something for you to watch. Go to whiteelementing.com/webinar now in order to move up as fast as possible. I'm Larry Weidel, and I run the $1 Million Mastermind. Go, go, go.